Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. And welcome to my podcast, guys. Welcome to my podcast. Been a really trying week this week. It's so much going on, and I have been trying to gather for you the newest and best information that's coming out of Washington, D.C. on our fight for our democracy and our country. It's been busy, guys. It has been truly busy. And today's episode is The Fight Continues. Americans, wake up. This is not what we ask for. Right? Americans, wake up. This is not what we ask for. How many of you agree with me? How many of you agree with me on that subject? Because as dumb as they think that we are as Americans and that they can put this stuff over our heads, we're not that dumb, And I'm so glad to finally find out that the MAGA world is starting to wake up. Donald Trump has always said that he could walk out in the middle of the street and shoot somebody and people still vote for him. But that's starting to dwindle, buddy boy. That is starting to dwindle. Yeah, so the recent polling is showing that you're not doing so good right now. But, I don't know how this is going to all pan out because you still have some really extreme MAGA loyalists who are going to follow him no matter what. I mean, I've had people say that to me on my YouTube channel. I don't care what he does. I'm going to follow him no matter what. And I get that. I get that kind of person. I know who you are. But guys, if you think about what they're doing here, it's like Donald Trump and his team of minions are playing a game with the American people. They're just playing a game. I mean, this is not some big video game where you can go revenge after revenge, do what you... This is the American government with American people who live here and flourish here. And we don't want to play this game. We do not want to play in this foolish game of messing with our government, with our country, and everything that we fought for and spoken up for, died for. All kinds of things that people have done for this country, and you're not going to undermine it by doing what you do in a few weeks and just totally dismantle America. We're not standing for it. So basically, there are three parties right now. The Democrats, the Republican, and the people. The people have spoken, and it's like, hell no. Hold on. You're not finna do this to us. No, you're not. So, fortunately, we have not gotten to a regime where they don't listen to the people because Donald Trump listens to the people. If his ratings are getting slumped, he will start reacting because he cannot stand not winning. That's just the person that he is. I mean, they just believe they were dumb. We're not that dumb, especially Democrats are not going to sit back and watch this go like it is. There's a lot of fumbly things happening. We're all trying to figure out how to keep up with this fast machine of dismantling, but we're not dumb. And trust me, people are mobilizing and people are starting to see this is not going to work. So, do you really think that Donald Trump truly cares about his red hat wearing base? Does he really care about them? He only cares about them when they go to that ballot box. Other than that, he don't care. He don't care. I remember reading a story, I wish I had found it, about how a bunch of Donald Trump supporters, MAGA supporters, they were just good old country folk from the South, showed up in Mar-a-Lago and was trying to be all there. And Donald Trump had some dignitaries there, and Donald Trump Jr. had to get them out of there, because they probably weren't up to what he expects for his people. You know what I mean? And they were probably just some old country bumpkins coming to see the guy they love, and they got thrown out of there. I got to find more detail on that. for sure. So I just had a light to go out, y'all. So give me a second here. Make sure that comes back on. I know this thing gets kind of hot. But yeah, so here's the deal. The deal is this. Guys, Donald Trump, I think he truly believes that he has taken over the Red Hat group and they'll do anything that he says, but they're starting to wake up. They are starting to wake up, and that's important. Make sure I don't have a problem going there. All right. So then here's the other thing. What do you think about what's going on with Gavin Newsom? What do y'all think about what's going on with Gavin Newsom? Some people think it's a good thing that he is talking to these right-wing podcasters and leaders and whatever. And some people think that it's a mockery of decency and truth. Because, I mean, he's on there just hee-heeing and giggling with them as though, this is not normal stuff, Gavin. I've listened to the entire podcast you did with Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is a very smart guy. But you know what? He's the one that's in the head of Donald Trump the most, because when you hear him talk, you can hear Donald Trump on just about everything you can. And I think that he's the one that he listens to. And I'm sure he still has a line to the president, even though he's not in the cabinet right now, which I don't understand what happened there. But, yeah. So you have got to see what is going on in that respect as far as Steve Bannon. But Gavin, no. This is not good. And a lot of people are upset about it. Because what it looks like you're trying to get them to be softer on you so that if you do run for president, they'll have more respect. I love the bros sitting down and whatever, but don't try to shove this down our throat as the way it's going to make Democrats understand what's going on. We don't understand liars, cheaters, adulterers, and all these other things that they have done in their careers or whatever. And I'm sorry, normalizing them does not do anything for the Democratic base. I think it's going to come back to bite you. I really do think that it's going to come back to bite you. Yep. So you be careful with that, Gavin. I'm not playing any of his, I was going to play some clips of some of the podcasts that he's been doing, but then I decided, nah, I don't even want to put that out there any more than it already is. And also, iHeartMedia, I tried to do it on one, but they're not allowing that, for one. I mean, you can only do such a small clip, but you got to listen to what he's doing in order to do it. So y'all check it out at your leisure, and you read the comments too. You got a lot of MAGA people. We like you got, nope, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And Gavin, you're messing up because you were already enough. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. If you want to understand what they do, call them on the phone. But we don't want to hear this. We don't want to hear this. So I have always thought that Republicans somehow think they have the formula for success. Nobody else knows what's right except for them. And I don't know where they get this from. Why do you think that you are the only ones that know what needs to happen in America? And if you notice the swiftness of the way that they are running things is because they know they'll never get this chance again. They know that. They are really in the minority. We just screwed up and didn't get people out to vote like they should have. Or the vote was stolen. I'll keep saying that. But they're moving with such agility and speed. It's because they know that by the midterms or by anything, this could be pulled from them immediately. So they're trying their best to get their agenda out there. So if you want to know what they're trying to do, guys, there are two kinds of Trump is trying to bring back a populist style of government, a populist nationalist style of government. And let me tell you what that is, a populist form of government. A populist form of government refers to a political system of leadership style that emphasizes the idea of representing the common people against elites, the establishments, or other perceived powerful groups It's not a specific type of government like democracy or monarchy, but rather a political approach. So, key characteristic of a populist government. Populist leaders often frame politics as a struggle between ordinary citizens and corrupt elites, politicians, economics, and culture. So they make us think that there's a fight between. They have strong charismatic leadership, and they tend to be led by figures who claim to directly represent the will of people, sometimes bypassing traditional institutions. Sound familiar? Right. And then they have a direct appeal to the public. They may use rallies, social media, or direct communications to mobilize support rather than relying on traditional political processes. Yeah. So y'all already know who that is. That's Donald Trump, right? Nationalism and protectism. Many populist governments promote national identity, economic protectivism, or anti-globalization policies. Populists often criticize established institutions like the media, courts, or legislators, sometimes attempting to weaken their influence. And there's a left-wing populism as well. They focus on economic inequality, advocating for wealth redistribution and social welfare. So there's a right wing, and the right wing often emphasizes nationalism, immigration restrictions, and traditional values, e.g., some European and U.S. leaders. Populism can exist in democracies, autocracies, and hybrid systems. So this is the style of government that they want. Yeah. They want this style of government, a populist style of government. And some of the populist leaders, if you want to know who they are people like Donald Trump is one, of course. And then you got Jair Bolsonaro from Brazil. He's one of the ones, they downplayed COVID-19, and they promoted nationalism, conservative social policy, and skepticisms of the media. And then they had a strong anti-leftist and anti-globalist rhetoric. Yeah, Viktor Orban, he's a populist. Trump loves him. He emphasizes nationalism and illiberal democracy, crackdown on independent media and judicial independence, has restricted immigration and promoted Christian values. That's Viktor Orban. So you see what I'm saying? So Trump is trying to put this style of government in place. We don't want it. We are a globalist form of government. A globalist is someone who supports globalization, the idea of creating the political, economic, and cultural interconnectedness between nations. Globalists generally advocate for international cooperation, free trade. It says open borders, but open borders, that's a different word than what you think it is, and the role of multinational institutions like the UN, World Trade Organization, World. This is the way the world should be. Economic integration, international cooperation, cultural exchange, supranational governments, in opposition to nationalism. So you got two styles of leader. Joe Biden is a globalist, all right? America has always operated in the globalist stratosphere. We want to have harmony with our fellow nations. We want to be able to go from one country to the other. Yeah. So some of the criticism of globalism is that some argue it benefits elites and multinational corporations while outsourcing jobs and harming local industries. And then some say it's a loss of national sovereignty. Say globalist policies weaken a nation's ability to govern itself. And some believe globalism dilutes traditional cultures and identities. I don't think that any country is that good without their fellow man, to tell the truth. We rely on each other for different things. There's some things that don't grow in America, but they grow over in China. There's some things that we don't make well in America, but it does well over in Germany, whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's the globalist way of thinking versus the populist. Now, we don't want to be a populist government because that means they don't care about immigrants. They don't care about people coming here. Everything is America, 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 America. Unfortunately, the way America is made, we're not built to be that self-sufficient. Donald Trump seems to think we are, but we're not totally that way. Do you know what I mean? And it's no fault of anyone's, except it's just the way the world has worked. We've shared resources. But going to this thing where you're alienating all of our allies and things like that, I don't understand. Okay? So I just wanted to put those two types of government in your head so you understand. So let's talk about Trump's latest approval rating. Yeah. Here's what's going on with his approval rating. Let's listen in.
We have President Trump in our brand new poll at 45% approval. This is for his handling of his job overall. 54% disapproval. So upside down, obviously, underwater, Kate. But look at that 45% number over time for Donald Trump. In his entire first term, that was his high watermark that we had in CNN polling. It appeared in 8 years ago, March 2017, around this time, in his first time around, and towards the end of his presidency, at the beginning of COVID, would rally around the president moment in May of 2020. That's when he hit 45%. He left office with a 34% approval rating in 2021. So this 45% that he's at right now, that was his actual high water mark last time around.
The economy, of course, remains an issue top of mind and of concern for most Americans, likely only getting more top of mind and more of concern. What are Americans saying in this poll about how they think the president is handling all of this, with a relevant note that this poll was conducted, began and ended before the massive stock market sell-off that we've seen this week?
Yes, but not before the chaos we've seen over the last 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And I think that is reflected in the numbers here. You are right. The economy is issue number one by far for Americans, as indicated in this poll. His approval rating on this issue is 44%. Trump's disapproval rating, 56% of Americans disapprove of his handling of the economy. We've never seen him that far underwater and upside down in terms of approval and disapproval on this issue in his entire presidential career. Look here, it's usually a strong suit for him. You see, we've had him at 44% approval before, but never with 56% disapproval. So that 12-point, minus 12-point spread, if you will, that's the largest on issue number one for Americans we've ever had him in our polling.
How are people feeling more broadly then, not just about the president, his hand, more broadly about the Trump administration so far?
Take a look. You noted at the top, some of his scores on some issues are the best he's ever had. Immigration, he's at majority approval. 51% of Americans approve of what Donald Trump is doing on immigration. He's close to half on managing the federal government and the federal budget, but you see there's his overall job approval, 45% we were talking about. The economy right there, 44%. Healthcare policy, foreign affairs, and tariffs. Only 39% approve of the way Donald Trump is handling tariffs. We also asked, how are things going in the country today? And take a look, Kate. 35% say well, 65% say badly, but good news for this White House potentially. In January, that 35% number was 29%. So a little bit of an uptick in the last month in the perception of people saying how things are going in the country.
All right, so those aren't good numbers. I don't care what kind of little uptick he has or how many comparisons to his last year, he's still doing bad. And finally, people are waking up and seeing he has sold y'all a bill of goods. A bill of goods. So I was talking about the populist form of government and trying to get everything nationally centered and everything else, and how possibly after doing all this, Americans will probably start to feel something good about the economy. That kind of stuff right there, guys, that's not something that's going to happen in 4 weeks. That stuff's going to happen in 4 years if he's able to manage to do that. So you're not going to get any kind of relief in years with what he's trying to do here. We're not changing the way America governs. Trump is trying to change the entire fabric of what America is. We are not a populist country. We're not. That's not who we are. And Donald Trump, you're not going to change us to that. Hello? You're not. Okay. So there you go. But here's some good news that's been happening on some of the things. This just came in, and as things are updated by the minute every day, things may have changed, but let me give you some good news that's been happening from a judge. So judge orders Trump administration to reinstate thousands of fired employees at VA, the Veterans Defense Department, and other agencies. A federal judge has ordered half a dozen federal agencies to immediately reinstate probationary employees fired last month as part of the Trump administration effort to rapidly shrink the federal workforce, calling the efforts a sham. The preliminary injunction issued from the bench Thursday by U.S. District Judge William Alsup requires the Departments of Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury to rehire employees. The judge said that he might extend the order to cover other federal agencies at a later time. Oh, God, I love him. Alsup, an appointee of former President Bill Clinton, said he was making the ruling because he believes the Office of Personnel Management, they're the ones that handle all the payment and jobs and whatever, unlawfully directed the agencies earlier this year to lay off the probationary employees who generally have been on the job for less than a year. The courts find that the Office of Personnel Management did direct all agencies to terminate probationary employees with the exception of mission-critical employees. He said, rejecting arguments from the Justice Department that OPM merely issued guidance to the agencies then led to the firings. The judge said the order is effective immediately, and this is the order, and it counts. They like to wait for the written order. I said, no, this is it right here. He said, this is the order. Do it now. The Justice Department indicated Thursday that it will appeal the ruling to the 9th U.S., that's Trump's Justice Department, District Court of Appeals. He says, come on, do it. You know, so the person that they have over the office of OPM, she's been like in her office doing Instagram videos showing all her fashions while people are getting fired. Yeah, they got it on tape. Alsup was highly critical of the administration's justification for firing the employees. OPM had provided agencies with a template termination letter that they cited the employees' performance as the reason they were being let go. But the judge said that rationale was the government's attempt to end the run federal law setting up specific rulings for reducing the federal workforce. So basically, they're having to do that way because if they do it that way, they have justification of letting them go. Otherwise, they have to go through a longer process. So the judge saw that. He said, no, we're not going to do this. So they're going to have to take it to appeal. They're going to have to take it to appeal and see what happens with the appeal. But for right now, he said to reinstate them. So let's see how this plays out. You know, but right now, that's the federal judges, right? Okay. All right, so I ran across this video. I think this video went last year when, I think this was right before the election ended. And Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan's show, and he was talking about how he thinks the Democrats want him gone because of, I don't care how people keep saying they think this guy is smart. He's not so smart to me. Everybody always saying they. Who are they? Who are they that's getting together that's trying to take you down, Elon? You get more support from Democrats before you started all this crazy stuff. Those were the ones buying your Teslas and all the things and all the space. Those are the ones that were supporting all of your government contracts. You know what I mean? So you're the one that turned on the Democrats because you didn't want to follow some regulation. And then you went running to Trump. But I want you to listen to this interview that he did with Rogan, and they both are just like, and Rogan used to be a Bernie bro. Guys, we can't trust these people. We cannot trust them. They flip-flop. They think they know everything because they're white men. You think you know everything? No. And going back to that globalization, what they're trying to do with this country, it's like, basically you're saying you don't want anybody living here except Americans. Y'all can visit, but you can't stay. What kind of country would we be if that's who? All of us come from somewhere else, except for our dear Native Americans and our Eskimos. And I can't think of their official name or what they're called. They are the ones that were here in Alaska and in the indigenous states. So all the rest of us, we came some other way. And y'all know how we came. So here we go. Let's listen to this Elon and Rogan exchange from last year. I just found it interesting as to what he's saying and see how it resonates for us like right now.
So if I want to say, like, what's at the heart of the sort of, like, why is the Democrat propaganda machine so fired up to destroy me? That's the main reason. The main reason is that entitlements fraud. That includes like Social Security, disability, Medicaid. Entitlements fraud for illegal aliens is what is serving as a gigantic magnetic force to pull people in from all around the world and keep them here. Like basically, if you pay people at a standard of living that is above 90% of Earth, then you have a very powerful incentive for 90% of Earth to come here and to stay here. But if you end the illegal alien fraud, then you turn off that magnet, and they leave, and they stop coming, and the ones that are here, many of them will simply leave. And if that happens, they will lose a massive number of Democratic voters.
And if it didn't happen, they would turn those people into voters.
Correct.
Which they were trying to do.
They're already turning them. So in New York State.
Okay, let me stop right there. All right, so here's the deal. He's trying to say that Democrats basically just want illegal immigrants here so that we can have a larger tent. Our tent's already large. We don't need to have illegal immigrants. And you know what? Most of these immigrants come in here, they're not always Democrats. A lot of them are Republicans, so your argument doesn't even work there. Especially third world countries, they are mostly Republicans because they come from dictator countries and they don't understand the whole democracy thing, and they tend to go Republican. You don't even know what you're talking about right there. Why would we do this? But one other thing is Republicans are a mess. Now, they're upset with Democrats because they think Democrats want illegal aliens to vote and everything like that. They don't want to count them in census and all this other stuff because it makes bigger districts, you get more money, and they don't want us to count them at all. But when you want to gerrymander a new Republican district, you use them in your numbers to decide to make your districts bigger. So you know what, Republicans, you're full of crap. Don't even try it. Keep going. Yeah, so this is just...
Illegal aliens can already vote in state and city elections. A lot of people don't know that. They're trying to fight that, they're trying to stop that, but they're currently, I think it's like 600,000 are registered to vote, illegal aliens, in New York.
That is wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at, say, FEMA, like the agency that was paying for illegal aliens to stay at luxury hotels in New York was FEMA. That's an agency that's meant to support Americans in distress from natural disasters, was paying for luxury hotels for illegals in New York.
It's true. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Fact.
They're literally, like, when we stopped that payment, we stopped all those money, because that's obviously an insane way to spend taxpayer money. The New York sued the federal government to get the money. So you could just look at their lawsuit. They were sending that money even after President Trump signed an executive order saying it needs to stop. They still press send on $80 million to luxury hotels in New York. Your tax money went to pay for illegal aliens in luxury hotels in New York from an agency that is meant to help Americans in distress from natural disasters.
Right, and I would like to
That's
know
fucked
how
up.
much. And I would like to know how much they spent on North Carolina and how much they spent on Maui.
Yes, exactly. What's actually happening is they're buying voters. That's really what's happening. It's like a giant voter fraud scam. They're importing voters.
Who is they? We're importing voters. Do you know why people come here, Elon Musk? The same reason that you did, because America is home of the free and the brave. Opportunity is here. These people are leaving because of their countries. Unrest. No opportunities. America is a great place to come. Nobody's telling them to come here, and there's no magnet. Everybody wants to live in America. It's that great a country. Do you not get that?
And it's really just a matter of time. So, like, if a lot of people have trouble believing this, but the more you look at it, the more you will realize just how much of a problem this is, and how it's not just real. It is an attempt to destroy democracy in America. That's what, in my view, it is what it really is. Like, if you take the sort of 7 swing states, like, often the margin of victory there is like maybe 20,000 votes. If you put 200,000 illegals in there, and they have like a 80% likelihood of voting Dem, and it's only a matter of time before they become citizens, then those swing states will not be swing states in the future. And if they are not swing states, we'll be a permanent one-party state country. Permanent, deep blue socialist state. That's
Okay, I call foul again. What makes you think every person that comes to this country is automatically a Democrat? This is just a stupid theory. Very stupid. Just because they come from Mexico, Latinos are not all Democrats. Who told you that? Who told you that? Especially people from Cuba, Venezuela, they are not Democrat. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
what America will become.
And that was the game plan.
That was the game plan. That is still the game plan.
And so
they almost succeeded. If the machine of which the Kamala puppet was the representation had won, that's what would have happened. The reason I went so hardcore for Trump was because, to me, this was a fork in the road, a very obvious fork in the road. If they had another 4 years, they would legalize enough illegals in the swing states to make the swing states not swing states. They would be blue states. Then they would win the presidential. They'd win the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They would then make D.C. into a state. Maybe Puerto Rico, get 4 extra senators, pack the Supreme Court. So then you'll have the House, Judiciary, Senate, and presidency, all blue. And then they will keep importing more illegals to cement that outcome. Basically what happened in California.
Jesus Christ.
It would have been the end. That's why I went so hardcore for Trump. It was otherwise it's been the end. And that's why the Democrat machine is so intent on destroying me.
It's just so fascinating that people can't see this.
See what? See what, Joe Rogan? Are you crazy? See what? Y'all are sitting around going, Jesus, oh my God, look at what's happening. I can't believe it. That is the most stupidest assessment of what's going on that I've ever heard. Stupid. Why don't people realize this? Are you kidding me? And Joe Rogan, you're sitting up there, I thought you were smarter than this. I mean, this is crazy. And they're probably, the 4 years that Trump wasn't there, they were probably sitting around talking about this in their little places, all believing this. This is what I'm telling you guys. These people are living in some strange bubble. And they think that they have the answer for us. That's not the answer. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, over in the education secretary, this is what she's saying on Fox News. I hate playing Fox News clips, but this is where she was, and this is what she said. And then we're going to come back. Here we go.
Clearly, we're not taking away education. The president never said that. He's taken the bureaucracy out of education so that more money flows to the states. Better education is closest to the kids, with parents, with local superintendents, with local school boards. I think we'll see our scores go up with our students when we can educate them with parental input as well.
Well, she's very angry. And over the weekend, I posted on X that it would be nice if Randy were ever angry about the abysmal 8th grade and 4th grade reading and math proficiency. You see those numbers, like 18%, 22% of proficiency or above? In 4th and 8th grade, we rank near the bottom globally on these standards. Well, it's shocking, given how much, we're putting up a graphic, given how much we spend. I can't even. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible.
Well, I'll tell you, it's unbelievable. And when you think about high school seniors that are graduating, only 30% of them are reading proficiently. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't read words. But
Hello.
they can't read cognitively. And that's what we're missing. You know, you read to learn up until third grade, and then after that, you're learning to read up until the end of third grade, then you're reading to learn. And if you can't read after the end of third grade, you're going to be behind in your reading. And so that's what we have to focus on.
Well, you know.
Yeah, you do need to focus on that. You know, you need to focus on it in the red states. Look at this. So this is what you're talking about. All of these states here, all of them are southern states except for maybe Nevada and New Mexico. West Virginia's #1 consistently ranks at the bottom in terms of educational attainment and quality. #2, this is the worst. The #1 worst was West Virginia. #2 worst is Mississippi. Struggles with low graduation rates and limited educational resources. #3, Louisiana faces challenges with funding and educational outcomes. And #4, Arkansas, lower spending per student and lower graduation rates. My God. #5, Alabama, similar issues with funding and educational attainment. Oklahoma faces challenges in both funding and education quality. Nevada struggles with high dropout rates and lower educational attainment. New Mexico faces significant challenges in educational outcomes and funding. Texas, despite its size, and I'm a Texas boy, it faces challenges in education quality and funding. That's because our governance doesn't use the federal funds like they should use. That's the problem with Texas. It's just a mess. South Carolina, lower graduation rates and educational attainments. Now, all of these states that they're talking about, and she's talking about reading levels, it's your state, sweetheart. It's all of you. It's all of you southern states. And y'all are sitting there talking. Here are the top spending states right here. The top educational states are right here. And they are Massachusetts, New Jersey, Connecticut, Vermont, New York. What are those? Blue states. And for red states for top, you have Utah, Nebraska, North Dakota, Iowa, and South Dakota. Not a one of them is in the South. So what does that tell you? Education has always been a disparity in the South. You never wanted people to learn. You did everything to keep people from learning. You had laws to keep people from learning. And that's why you're in the bottom. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. But that just kills me. And it's the southern states. So she thinks that cutting this agency, they're going to be the ones that's hurt the worst. Because you're already dumb as a box of rocks in those states. And forgive me, any of my friends and family that live in those red states. Everybody's not dumb. But for the most part, guys, the records show it. Those states don't have a lot to do. And then you know what? While you're trying to blame the educational system, what about the parents in these red states? West Virginia? What's the problem there? What's the problem in West Virginia? Very red state, predominantly white red state. What's the problem? You're #1. West Virginia is the #1 worst state in the union for education. What's going on there? All right. I want to go back to what Elon Musk said about New York. Illegal immigrants cannot vote in New York elections. Voting in the federal and state elections is restricted to U.S. citizens. However, New York City previously attempted to allow non-citizens, including legal permanent residents, to vote in municipal elections, but that law was struck down in court. So they tried to do that, yes, but that was a municipal ploy for like the mayor's race. That was kind of gerrymandering. They were trying to do something there, and they took it down to they were wanting them to, anybody that had a driver's license could vote. So they allowed them to get driver's license, is what I think I heard on someone say. Maybe it's de Blasio. But if you have a driver's license, that's how they pulled you in for jury duty and things of that nature and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it got kind of technical, but I wanted to debunk what he said. That is not happening in New York. All right. All right. So that's what's going on in education. They're still talking about getting rid of it. The biggest thing that I think the biggest mistake they will ever do is to get rid of that agency. Oh, well. Okay, so meanwhile, over in Congress, Republicans continue to disrespect people, and they just continue to be very mean people. They're just very mean-spirited people. This is a committee meeting where the head of the committee meeting disrespected our first transgender congresswoman. And I just want you to hear what happened. And another congressman came to the defense of what he did. So listen to this.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply...
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman? Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
Wow. He said, Mr. McBride. Did you get that? He says, he called the transgender, he said, Mr. McBride. He could have just said, the chair recognizes Representative McBride and been done with that. He didn't have to put gender in there. He did that on purpose. But did y'all hear her clap back? She said, thank you, chairwoman, leader. He called him, he said. So he clapped back and got him. I don't think the other guy caught that. That was kind of cool. I was like, oh my God. That was funny. All right. So here is something. This is just back to that. This is so total disrespect. Okay. We know you don't care about transgender people. Y'all think they are spawns of the earth. But guys, it's not going to do any good doing that kind of stuff. It's just not. I feel sorry for transgender people. It's so little of them in this country to be going through what they're having to go through. I really feel sorry for what they're having to endure with our government. It's really not fair. Really not. So let's talk about Dear Pam Bondi. Here's my girl Rachel. And she's going to tell you, Rachel Maddow, what was going on with Dear Pam Bondi. I'm showing you that you give me a Trump appointee or official and I will find some junk. All of them have some kind of a junk that's going on. Something that they've done that's not been lawful or has been scandalous or something. That's all he surrounds himself with, people like that. All right, Pam, let's see what you're doing.
Trump was elected the first time. Multiple news organizations reported that he was considering Pam Bondi for a job in his new administration. Maybe he was considering her for a big job. But she never got a job in the first Trump term. She never got any job. Some reporting has suggested that it was because, quote, Trump staffers were concerned that questions about the donation would make confirmation hearings for Bondi difficult and damaging. Questions about the donation. The donation in question is this one, this $25,000 check. When Pam Bondi was serving as Attorney General in Florida, the Orlando Sentinel reported that her office was looking into Floridians' complaints about something called Trump University. Florida residents, a whole bunch of them, had come to the state attorney general's office complaining to Pam Bondi that they had been scammed by Trump University. They had lost a ton of money. Could the attorney general please do something about it? Now, that report, Bondi's office looking into complaints about possible fraud. Florida may join multi-state lawsuit against Trump University. That report appeared in the press in Florida on a Friday. 4 days later, Tuesday, that big, beautiful check arrived. That $25,000 check arrived at the super PAC supporting Pam Bondi's re-election in Florida. A check signed by Donald Trump himself. Bondi had asked Trump for the donation. The check from the Donald J. Trump Foundation arrived, signed by Trump himself. She also apparently got a check from Ivanka Trump as well. And you know, what are you going to do? Pam Bondi thereupon decided, actually, on second thought, I don't think Florida is going to join that multi-state fraud lawsuit against Trump University after all. Now, incidentally, that lawsuit against Trump University was successful. Other states, like New York, went ahead with it. Trump had to shut down his fake university and pay more than $20 million to make the fraud claims go away. Incidentally, he also had to pay a fine to the IRS because the check he sent to Pam Bondi while she was mulling whether or not to join the case, that turned out to have been an illegal contribution from his fake charity. His fake charity, which was also soon shut down as a scam. Ah, law and order. I love these guys. Law and order.
You hear that? So, Pam Bondi, who was an attorney general, Donald Trump basically gave her money to not include Trump University in this class action suit of Trump University, the multi-state suit, I should say. And they didn't put Florida in there. Dear Miss Bondi, and they didn't put you in the administration because they were afraid of that check coming out. Probably because of, what's the lawyer's name that was going through all this stuff? They were finding checks. But here it is. My girl Rachel Maddow found it. So they all got some junk. And we can't do anything about it. Because these guys are masters of taking things to court, suing people until, you don't have enough money to do it. That's their strategy. Appeal, appeal, appeal. Fight back, fight back. He learned all this stuff from Roy Cohn. I got to watch that movie to see how that all came. Deny, deny, deny. It's working. Biggest Ponzi scheme in the world is Donald Trump. You want to find out? Okay. All right. So let's go over to this panel that on CNN. And there's my boy, dear Scott Jennings, who just gets under my feathers. They're talking about dear Robert Kennedy and the measles outbreak. This is what really kills me, guys. What is with Republicans and diseases? Well, how many people have to die? Robert Kennedy is saying all this. How many people have to die, Mr. Kennedy, before you tell people, please get the vaccine? It will eradicate it immediately. What is with this conspiracy theory? This is why we got where we are with COVID. It's because of you guys. But listen to this. Scott gets on my nerves. He's full of himself now. So listen to Mr. Scott Jennings from CNN as he makes his point about how he feels about what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not doing. Here we go.
Scott Jennings, is this defensible?
Well, I think that, first of all, I'm not an expert on this. And as our viewers know, I'm not accustomed to talking out of my rear end. So I would just say, whatever you're going to do, talk to your pediatrician about. That's number one. Number two, look, he has said
but like from our
which is
political
good.
leaders, again, because I think I appreciate you saying, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert.
And when I
he's not a doctor either.
When I have, and everything we do, we talk to the doctor about it. We get their best advice. I mean, that's kind of the medical interactions we've had on it. Look,
is there not a risk for public health officials when there are literally kids dying right now of measles?
Well, I mean, yes. There. If you don't have a vaccine, I guess there is a risk of getting the measles. I mean, I think the death rates are low on it, but this makes me nervous because, you don't want to give people an idea that getting a vaccine is somehow adverse when that's not been the case, and when it might have, an obvious benefit. So yeah, this whole conversation makes me somewhat nervous about it, and I just, again, my advice would be, parents, talk to your doctors. Get the best personal medical advice you can get.
Can I go a little further than Scott on this? The Secretary of Health and Human Services is grossly out of step with both experts and public opinion on this issue. Number one, he's incorrect with with the things he's citing. Encephalitis being one of the things he talked about in his comments. You have a 1 in 1 million chance of getting encephalitis with the measles vaccine. You got a 1 in 1,000 chance of dying of measles. Like, so if you actually get it. And given how communicable measles is, far more than whether it's chickenpox or COVID or any of these other things that we see every day, people can die from comments like this. And so not only is he just out of step, whether it's politically or logically, he's all.
Robert F. Kennedy, just tell the people to get the vaccine. Guys, this stuff is so hard. It's just hard. It's just hard. They don't believe in climate change. It's going to take, 10 hurricanes in a week before you decide to say, well, no, I'm done. I'm just done with Republicans. I can't take it. It's just that sometimes I'm thinking, is this really happening? But it is. All right, so here is a breath of fresh air. A MAGA Christian who is thoroughly upset with her fellow MAGA Christians. So let's listen to the dear lady here on TikTok. Here we go.
It's time to speak up. If you're a MAGA and you call yourself a Christian, I need to have a word with you, because you see, Scripture says that if you have an issue with your brother, you're to go to your brother. And that's what I'm doing right now. I am following the example that is outlined in Scripture for when you have a disagreement with a fellow believer. You see, I was raised in a very conservative evangelical home in a red county, in a red state, and I still live in a red county, in a red state. I also was raised to know Christ, and I have followed Christ since I was 5 years old. I have read the Bible cover to cover. I've taught Sunday school and Bible study and can probably quote as much scripture as anyone out there. And I am telling you, if I didn't know Jesus and I saw the Republican Party of today, and I was told this is an example of what Christians are, I would run as far and as fast the other direction as I possibly could. Because what we, and I say we because I used to be there, what the Republican Party is showing is greed and power over generosity and kindness. It is selfishness over selflessness. It is oppressing the poor and the immigrant over helping the poor and the immigrant. The things that you are showing do not accurately reflect Christ. And brother or sister, I'm going to tell you, you need to choose right now. Either identify yourself as a MAGA or identify yourself as a follower of Christ, but the two do not go together. And because of what you are doing, you are harming the kingdom. You are pushing people away from the Jesus we are supposed to reflect. There is nothing scriptural about the policies that MAGA is pushing. In fact, it is just the opposite. We know, if you know Jesus, this would be the time in the Bible he would be flipping tables. And I am coming to you as a brother or sister in Christ to say, you got to reassess. You have got to reassess, because you are pushing people away from Jesus. We are supposed to be salty and bright. We are supposed to be the light on the hill. And what we are projecting is completely unchrist-like. I'm going to ask you to think real hard about the policies of the Republican Party and the teachings of Jesus Christ, because they do not coincide. And my friends, it's time to choose. You can be one or the other, but you cannot be both. I'm going to go out there and love my neighbor.
I love her for that. She's telling the truth. That's why it's hard for some of my friends that I don't speak to anymore, because I couldn't understand. I don't understand how you can justify, I don't know how you can justify, but the big old economy, what's the reason? I wonder what they're saying now, that the economy is not being touched is the reason why they voted for dear Mr. Trump. I wonder what they're saying now. I've got to do a podcast on that to see. All right, so here we go. And one of my favorite people to listen to is a black MAGA. And him of all people is trying to make a point about DEI with one of my Anglo brothers, who is the one that's telling him the truth. This is so backwards, but this is what's happening. But I want you to notice at the end, while he's given facts, he just retreats because they deal in so much distruth. They don't know how to go and look on so many resources that you have and find truth. Find it. So here is what I'm calling a DEI conversation. Let's listen.
In Trump's cabinet, there are people of color that Democrats pretend don't exist, like J.D. Vance's wife, and
J.D. Vance's wife is not in the cabinet.
No, but if J.D. Vance was a Democrat, his wife would be lauded all over everything because of her skin.
I'm not here to defend the Democrats' choice on every policy, but there is one party in this country that is identitarian. There is one party that is represented and it is homogenous, and it is the Republican Party. 85% of Republicans are white. That's just the reality.
So
people don't necessarily have a problem with that.
But here's the thing. You said even if let's just say, okay, that's true. 80% of Republicans are white. Does that mean that they're less moral? That they can't run an effective government? What does race have to do? What does race have to do? Hold on. What does
Donald Trump didn't have to say my vice president's going to be a white man.
No.
Because they all knew it was going to be.
No, this is the premise of DI. What does race have to do with running an effective government? What does race have to do? If let's say DEI on the micro level,
I will tell you right now.
DEI on the micro level at McDonald's.
I'll tell you.
Am I going to get better nuggets?
I'll ask you a question.
If the cashier is black or white, what does that have to do with anything?
I'll tell you what it is. First of all, DEIA means that if you come into this agency or corporation, you're not going to be discriminated against because you don't look like everybody else, or you don't have the same physical abilities as everybody else, or you may require handles on the bathroom or whatever it is. That's what DEIA does. But does it make a government better if there's a broad representation of the people it's supposed to govern? Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless of DEI, don't we already have things in our Constitution that protects people's rights, protects people?
No.
We don't?
No.
Do we or do we not?
No, we do not. Tell me what protects people from discrimination in housing and in work and hiring or getting loans. It's all statutes. It's all statutes. And in these government agencies, there was nothing except for that order. That's why Trump just rescinded it.
I'm going to tap out.
Watch what Dave.
Y'all see, he said, I'm going to tap out. He couldn't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. People don't realize that there is nothing really in the Constitution that protects us. It doesn't really say that. Like I said, those were statutes and people were adding, but you know what? But it's nothing in the Constitution that really protects that. Believe it or not. It's really kind of not there, guys. Oh, well. All right, going over to this committee meeting. And one of our dear congressmen, Elon Musk, was supposed to come and speak to this committee. I don't know which committee it is, but he was supposed to come and speak to them. And it may have been the oversight committee, but he didn't show up. And so one of the dear Democratic congressmen, he just got fed up and he wanted to just let everybody know, I am tired of this. So let's listen to his little outburst here.
Where's the independence of the committee? Where's the legislature? We're an equal branch of government. And you start off with a blather, and yet look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he found are so evident, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security.
See that? I mean, Elon, they have yet to present a list of the fraud, waste, and abuse. They're just giving us numbers. Show us. Do you see what I mean? Because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're lying. They are lying. There is one guy in the New York Times that every time they put down a figure of them finding stuff, he's like debunked it every time. That's not true. Nope, that's not true. So, yeah, that's what's going on, guys. All right, so now I'm going to end with my two favorite people right now that's going on. I'm so proud of Don Lemon. He's doing really good with keeping the word out there. The brother is off the chain. He is not uncuffed. He is unscathed by anything, and he will speak his mind now that he's not under the corporate umbrella. I love it. I love New Don 2.0. I do. I'm one of the lemon heads, so I do listen to him a lot. And then we're going to end with my congresswoman. I'm in her district. Yes, I am. Jasmine Crockett. I am in the 30th district, of which she represents me. Yes, she does. Very proud of her. But let's listen to this. Don is talking about we're in a recession, guys. And let's just listen in to my boy, Don Lemon, tell us what's going on and what we need to start worrying about. Here we go.
We're in a world of hurt. No matter what Donald Trump tells you, because he's nervous, he's scared, he's doing these interviews because he's trying to change the narrative, such negative news. We're in a recession. We are. In a dictatorship, but we're in a recession. All of these tariffs, the putting them out there, enacting them, and then pulling back, it's not helping the market at all. The stock market is tanking. He knows it. That's his big indicator of the health of the economy is through the stock market. Now he's telling Maria Bartiromo, we shouldn't look at the stock market. We should have a longer outlook than a quarter. Really? That's not what he said before. And he's pulling back tariffs in certain areas where he knows it will affect the people who voted for him, like farmers and the auto industry and blue collar workers. They're getting hip to it, and he's nervous about it. This is where you put the pressure on Donald Trump. This is where the other side, Democrats or the folks who are not Trump supporters, this is what they should be doing. They should be pointing this out endlessly, because this is the weak spot that I believe that they can take back and gain some control. Because it is, as James Carville says, the economy, stupid. So now that the economy is in trouble, and as I am recording this, the Dow is down and dropping, perhaps it's time for people to wake up and understand that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing with the economy. He doesn't know. And all you have to do is look at the facts and the research. He says, we have the best economies. Doesn't. GDP at the bottom. Worst. So people, wake up. Wake up as it relates to Donald Trump and his knowledge. Supposedly he knows better than anyone, better than the economists, better than the generals. Well, he doesn't. And it's showing. And the wheels are coming off. Wake up.
Wake up, people. Wake up. You're going to figure it out. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. Look at his track record, guys. He's not a very successful person. All of his venture deals have not been very successful. All right, so this last clip here is Jasmine Crockett, and she is getting trolled worse than The View, I think, because anytime there's an up-and-coming Democrat that speaks truth, MAGA-mites will find you. Now, I am a liberal Democrat. Yes, I am. But do I go into finding spots where I think MAGA people, I could be on X's troll? I don't do that. But they look for us because they can't take the truth. They're all up in my DMs and comments and things like that. Because if you start speaking the truth, they find you. And they don't put their names. Whatever. It's just really weird. It's really weird. I told you guys, they are much louder than we are. But we're not trolling. Democrats are not walking around trolling these other people. There might be some out there, I don't know. But for the most part, that's not what we do. We just speak truth, and then you come find us. Like they're trolling poor Jasmine, trying to find dirt on her badly. So this is what she said. It's really cool about her TikTok account just reaching 1 million followers and what they think they found on her, which is really nothing. But here we go.
Hey y'all, so I just wanted to jump on really quickly. First of all, to say thank you. My staff is really excited that we are over 1 million. So for everyone that was trying to figure out if this is my actual account, it is. Me and TikTok, we was beefing, so I wasn't posting anything, but I have 2 official accounts. I have this one, and then I have the one where we will do everything that involves my videos from the house and that kind of stuff. But I wanted to jump on really quickly and say, number 1, happy Sunday. And number 2, before I caught my flight, one of my friends sent me a message. Now, I've decided to turn off all my notifications on all social media because clearly some people are just getting a little too rowdy. And honestly, I don't have time for that, right? Like, we are losing this country at this moment. So I don't really have time for all the BS that people decide that they want to post when they literally are not relevant. If you, for whatever reason, can't really see what's happening, then that's kind of a you problem and not a me problem. So I'm not really trying to hear from you. Anyway, so one of my best friends sends me this thing, and it's from Dr. Stacy Patton. And I must say, I'm kind of in love with her at this moment because I had no idea of some of the drama because, you know, MAGA always mad. They stay mad. That's just what they do, at least when it comes to me. So I guess they've really been digging for dirt, and I don't even know what dirt looks like. I guess it's the opposite of what we would think dirt is, right? Because it seems like if you say cheat on your wife while she's pregnant with a porn star, that's not dirt. It seems like if you are found liable for sexual abuse, that's not dirt. It seems like if you're indicted in 4 different jurisdictions and you ultimately are found guilty of 34 felonies, that's not quite dirt either. It seems like if you file bankruptcy 6 times, that's not dirt. It seems like if you what else? Yeah. If your companies get in trouble because there's a badass AG by the name of Tish James that comes for you and your companies because of fraud, that's not dirt. But it seems like now what is dirt and what is a conversation, as people don't know whether or not the government is going to stay open, as people are losing their jobs, whether they're government jobs or private jobs, as people don't know whether or not they're going to be able to afford food, as people don't know whether or not they're going to have assistance to get food. It seems like the most important thing that people can figure out to talk about is what? Oh, let me help y'all. The most important thing that they can talk about is my quote unquote accent. My accent. Yeah, I don't have an accent. I mean, if anything, it's Texan, right? Maybe mixed with a little bit of St. Louis. And then determining that my accent is fake because of the types of schools that I went to. Like, seriously, y'all, like, honestly, I guess that's what's most frustrating is that there's nothing to find. Because if there was, I'm sure they would have already laid it out for sure. But if the worst that you got to say is that, yes, I went to private school, I'm just saying it's a bad day for you. Because, you know, just yesterday, I was just this big DEI hire. And now they're like, well, wait a minute. She's too qualified, right? Like she went off to these fancy schools and then she gets out and she talks this way. I talk whatever way I want to because, yes, I do have the education. And I've got the heart. I've got the heart to fight for the people. That's why I ran for office. So the only thing that you're laying out is that, no, I didn't have to run for office, just like a lot of other people didn't have to run for office. You've got people that run for office for various reasons. Some people are selfish and nothing but slime balls, and that is why we have a lot of things that are broken. That is why right now we're sitting around and it's a little broken because we got slime balls that decided that they wanted to run for office, or we got a bunch of spineless people that are sitting in office. And I am still the bleeding heart liberal. Yes, I said it, the bleeding heart liberal that actually cares and believes in this country and believes that we all deserve the opportunity to live in what supposedly is the land of the free and the land of opportunity. When I get jaded, that's when I'll quit. When I'm kind of just over it, that's when I'll quit. Until then, just stay mad because clearly y'all ain't found a bootleg husband. Y'all ain't found a bunch of baby daddies. Y'all ain't found
any types of crimes, because Lord knows y'all would love to throw me in jail really just for existing. Not that that's what we're supposed to do, but, whatever. So I just wanted to come on and shout out Dr. Stacy, because I had no idea that they had now gotten mad because the worst thing that they found is that I went to private school. And I don't really understand what the problem is. Anyway, everybody have a great Sunday.
That's all they could find. So basically, they think that she's talking ghetto on purpose because she didn't go to school. She's talking black on purpose because she didn't go to school like that. She shouldn't be talking. First of all, how do you know what we're supposed to talk like? I can go to private school and still talk like this. It's called code switching, people. We can talk however we want to talk. We can sound like you if we want to. She can talk however she wants to talk. It's not a put on. It's not a put on. Jeez. I mean, I can't believe when I saw that on X, that's what they had found. And everybody's talking about she's faking because da-da-da-da-da. I got to find out what Bill Maher said about her because everybody was kind of upset with whatever he said. But I'm going to find out what that was because I didn't do it before I'm recording here. So see what he said about Dear Jasmine. But yeah, that's my congressman from the 30th District of Texas. Yes, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's her district. And I am right smack in the middle of it. Yes, I am. That's my congresswoman. I'm so proud of everything that she is doing for this country and for this movement. So, Jasmine Crockett, I need you to come on my podcast, Jasmine. Would love to talk to you. I've kind of been trolling you and sending you messages everywhere. But we'll get her. We'll get her. I hope we get her. But anyway, guys, that is the end of this podcast for today of what's going on. I've been trying to make this a weekly podcast, but so much is going on that I've been kind of making it almost semi-daily because so much has been going on, and I just don't want you to miss any of the updates and changes that have been happening. It's been a tough week last week, so we'll see how things go forward for the country. All right. So guys, this is all that I have for you today. And I thank you so much for joining me today on Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. So until we meet again, and everybody keep fighting. This fight is not over. It is not over. So have a wonderful day. Bye now.